the Design and Remodeling Show with Custom Built.
Welcome to the Design and Remodeling Show, where we discuss all things home improvement. I'm Isabel Broidigan with Custom Built Design and Remodeling, and today I'm joined by Michael Flory, founder and CEO, and Josh Baines, Design and Production Manager at Custom Built. And I'm really excited because as we enter the spring and summer season, there are a lot of homeowners doing outdoor living projects. So we're going to dive into some of the details today. First question for you, Michael, in a pass is when a homeowner is considering a deck project and they're starting the planning phase, where should they start?
Well, I always like to think about if you've been in the house for a while and the size of your family is going to be really important. And then what do you want to do? There's so much we can create for you. So what kinds of features might you want to have in that space? But if you figure about 100 square feet per person that you might have there, and then what, in a dining room, all those different features that we might want to add, and all the way to hot tubs and covers and porches and all kinds of things that we might want to put in there. So you're going to want to think about holistically all those items. Second, then I would probably start thinking about what types of materials, what's your budget, and where are you at on your budget, and what kinds of materials might you want to choose, and so we can kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Awesome. So really think through family lifestyle, functionality out there, and then what you want to invest in the space?
Exactly, yep.
Amazing. So then Josh, to you, you work with a lot of materials and you've built a lot of decks over the years. So what are some ways that a homeowner can make their space more functional when it comes to choosing materials?
Again, the function, what are you using it for? Where are you placing things? You got to think about foot traffic, how you're getting from on your deck, maybe to your yard, maybe you don't have stairs, where you're going to place furniture. A lot of people want some sun spaces, some shaded spaces. So, just thinking through how you're going to use it.
Yeah. And then how can homeowners extend the life of their deck?
Well, one, choosing quality materials to start with, best way to extend the life. And two, nothing does, they all require some amount of maintenance. So, we have to power wash even these decks that say are maintenance free. Nothing is maintenance free. And then just being careful, especially up here in the winters. We have shovels, metal edges, things like that, furniture with, doesn't have feet on it, potentially can scratch, things like that. So, paying attention to what you're putting on the deck too.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any other thoughts on that, Michael? How to extend the life of your deck?
I think in general, picking a good material, but there's also, we're using a lot now, like if you have an elevated deck or if you want to have storage underneath your deck, we're putting a product on, Trex Rain Escapes, and so that seals and keeps the wood joist underneath from rotting. It keeps them from getting wet. So that's another big way to extend, because it's the structure as well. The decking might be warranted for 50 years, but how long is your structure going to last? In Michigan, high humidity, even if it's treated lumber, we'll see some treated decks rotting out in 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And, so that would be my biggest way of saying that there's joist tape or rain escape systems that we can put on there to extend the life of the deck. So
awesome. So we've talked a little bit about the planning phase, which at Custom Built we call the dream phase, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to jump into the design phase now. So let's talk about what are we seeing when it comes to designs for, let's talk composite decks specifically. What are you seeing right now, Michael, as you're going out and talking with homeowners?
It's anywhere from they just want to take their small, deck that they've had that's perfect for a couple, all the way to expansive, multi-level, 2,000-3,000 square foot outdoor living spaces with multiple different vignettes, outdoor kitchens, underdeck systems, so you have rooms underneath. It just can just get really expansive. So a lot of it just comes back again to the family, the house size, and really what they're looking to do. But it's really limitless, and it's super exciting. And that's one of the things that we love the most, is just getting into that design phase and really finding out what's important to you as the homeowner, and how can we help you achieve and add value. That's the other thing. We want you to use the deck, so oftentimes, depending on the homeowner, it might be they just want to have a deck so they can get from the deck to the yard. Other times it's like, we're going to be having dinners out here. We want to cook on this thing. We want to sun. I have 5 daughters, so, they want to sunbathe out on the deck, so you got to make sure you have enough room for the long chair, the lounge chairs and all that kind of stuff. So those would be the really important things that I would think you want to consider.
Yeah.
So. and the trends. I mean, they're just you can still do a wood deck. You know, you can put composite deck. You can put a Trex deck on. There's lots of choices.
Sure. You mentioned rain escape system, which is specific to Trex, but Josh, I'm curious on the structure side of things. How does a rain escape system go in? Can you put that on an existing deck? Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah, good question. Usually not. I mean, the way we do these things, they make a lot of other systems that mount under the structure, and those obviously we can use existing structures for, but they don't really protect the wood itself. They're just capturing the rain and moving it out so that the space under it stays dry, but it doesn't protect the wood like Michael's talking about. So the rain escapes, we really start from scratch when we use those because they go on top of the joist to cover the whole system. So.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then add the decking on top. So if we're coming out there, the decking's there, we can't put that rain escapes in.
Right. Sure. Awesome. And then let's talk about planning in design. So I'm going to pass this to you, Michael. Why is it so important to have a design? And I'm laughing, and maybe you can give a little context.
Yeah,
a design before you start construction.
Poking me on TV. There we go. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the most important reason to have a design is really that you begin with the end in mind. As the owner of this business, we started this from the ground up, swinging the hammer myself, and improvised a lot along the way. So when it came to designing my deck last year, I took the shortcut and I called the design manager and I had him put together a half-done drawing. I didn't estimate the project out. I didn't have the final post wraps all figured out. I didn't know some of the little details. So there was a lot of improvising going along the way. And in my case, that meant more money. So when you don't have a complete design, you'll end up spending more money. You'll have very frustrated contractors. And I was fortunate to have one of our lead carpenters working on our deck, and by the end of it, he wasn't too happy with me because I kept switching things, and we'd get something done, and then we have to tear it apart. But that for me was but truly as a homeowner, you're going to build this once. You don't want to get done with it and be like, man, I wish we had made it 2 feet deeper because the table doesn't fit. So when we're designing the deck in the 3D software, and you can see where the table fits, you can see where the stairs are going to be and how that's going to affect traffic flow. The design's really important. On top of that, with a well-done design, you can have a really solid budget. Because you want to know if this is going to cost $20,000, is it going to cost $50,000, or is it going to be $200,000 for what you're doing? And if you tweaked one thing, it might save you money, or it might give you what you're really looking for. I mean, color-wise, think about it. You put this deck on, you can't restain it a different color like we used to. Everybody, early gen, since I started in the early 2000s, you just stained it a different color if you didn't like the stain. Well, if you put on a color, the light rope swing color, and you don't like that color a year down the road, that's you got an issue.
Or it doesn't match with the stone that you haven't picked yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So now my stone has to be matched to the color that I have because I didn't pick that out in advance. So.
Right. What are some other design details that we see in high-end projects? I mean, Josh, I know you've looked at a lot of different decks, and you see one of the ones that I know is like miter joints. Those look a lot better than what is the other one called? Is it?
Just a standard step versus a miter. The butt seams we don't do any longer. That's probably what you're referring to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we hide all the composite decking. When you cut that stuff, I mean, the inside of it is kind of a gray sawdust looking material.
Yeah.
So we do everything to hide that so that we call it picture framing. So now we wrap a solid deck board all the way around the perimeter so that you don't see any of those cuts. Again, when you get into decks that are bigger than 20 feet, we have to make decisions on how to break the decking because the longest deck board only comes 20 feet long. So we put in what we call breaker boards. Again, it's another way for us to get away from splicing or butt seams because those tend to be a place where things fail. You're putting 2 joists on a single, or 2 decking pieces on a single joist, and they tend to curl, those seams come apart, and they just don't look great over time. So we've come up with a way to get rid of them.
And part of that too, design, is that the fit and finish long term, because it might look good year 1, and it might even look good year 2, but that's about the time you'll start noticing when some of these things aren't done, like these butt seams and things like that. They will start, pulling apart, lifting up, just because there's not as good a way to secure them. So for the long-term value of this and not having some of those future warranty repairs and things like that, the design is also super
I'm just thinking,
important.
how many of these decks have we come back to 5 years later and people are paying us to take them apart because they weren't done right the first time. So.
Yeah, from the very beginning.
That's the most expensive deck project, the one you have to do twice. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the design front too, if you have an elevated deck, and you have a walkout basement, or you're on a lake, or you just want that view, I think there's a lot of things that we can do down below using much larger beams, so we have fewer posts. So if you've ever been on a walkout deck and there's 8 posts, if you could eliminate 4 of those posts and just have 4, just make a huge difference, especially if you're going to use that space down below.
Sure.
So,
what are some of the structural things, Josh, that are required, like Michael was saying, to eliminate some posts?
Yeah, we've got a lot of different options now. We can use steel structure. We can use, they make a treated paralam now. So we can get spans. I mean, used to be every 6-7 feet, depending on how big your deck is, you would have a post. Now we can go 15, 18, 20 feet, depending on the, what LVLs we put in there now.
Sure. So talk about dream design. I want to get into the build portion before we end today. Josh, I hear a lot of people ask, can I reuse my deck structure? Like I want a similar footprint, but I want to just put composite decking boards on and replace my wood. What recommendations do you have to that homeowner?
In a lot of cases, it doesn't make sense. I mean, if it's a brand new deck, a lot of times in these tract homes, they run through and put all treated decks on them. If it's 5, 6, 7 years old, a lot of times we can reuse a lot of the structure, but even when we reuse it, we're adding a lot of components to it. The picture frame that we talked about, that's never framed into these decks. If we need breaker boards, we add a lot of extra blocking. Anytime we go more than 10 foot of span, we put mid-span blocking in so you don't feel any of the flex. A lot of times you run a joist 14, 15, 16 feet. It's structurally sound, but you feel a lot of deflection, and then you put heavy decking on it, and that's even more prevalent. So we do a lot to the structure to make sure that they hold up a little better than the average deck. So if it's more than that, I mean, they say 15 to 20 years is the average lifespan of treated materials. So if you're putting a 50-year product on something that's already more than halfway through its life expectancy, your decking's going to hold up, but the structure underneath is going to fall right through. So, and again, with these wood decks, a lot of times they're framed on wider spacing in the joists and things like that. So a 2x6 treated deck board can span 2 feet. Well, this Trex material, or a lot of these composite materials, want to be 16 or even 12 inches on center. So you don't see, the decking will kind of wave as that stuff settles, because it really needs structure underneath it.
Sure.
So a lot of them aren't built for composite decking, especially when you go from wood to composite. And sometimes when you're going from composite to a different composite, they're still not built the way we would do them.
Okay. So maybe if your deck structure is, say, under 7 years old and it looks good, and you already have composite on, you're going to be putting composite back on, that might be a good deck.
It's definitely something to consider. There are times where there aren't a lot of cost savings. It takes a lot more for us to take a deck apart systematically so that we can redeck it. I mean, there's 2 screws in every deck board, and there's 50 deck boards across this thing. Otherwise, we cut it up into 10-foot sections and we walk it out. So I mean, we can demo a deck in 2 hours, or we might have to take the decking off and it take us all day. So and then the savings of of the labor time that we spent, sometimes it doesn't make sense, but there are some that we've done and they work out. So. Sure. But almost always we have to add more framing to it. It's not just take the decking off and put new decking down.
Yeah. So a lot of the structure pieces that you're mentioning, are they industry standard? Do all contractors space the joists like you said, put posts every 6 to 7 feet?
I mean, we definitely believe we build a better deck, but there are standards, code standards that we all abide by, but that's 16 inches on center. We build all of our decks 12 inches on center. The mid-span blocking isn't required, but it makes a better deck. The way we lock our posts in, the blocking that we put in, how we tie our stairs together, all of those things make a solid structure that's going to last longer. Sure. It's going to make sure we don't have to come back and do any warranty work on them.
Absolutely. So then Michael, as a homeowner, is looking to hire a contractor for their project. What are some things that they should look out for, or questions they should ask?
Yeah, I mean, I think first thing is, a lot of people, most of our business is repeat referral business. So really making sure that you know who your contractor is. I think, having a contractor who's been local and has referrals, those are going to be some really good signs. But doing your homework, and one of the things that we want to do is help educate homeowners in the buying process. Again, back to, I always talk about it. It's like the most expensive home improvement project is the one that you pay for twice. You do it once, and we have had to unfortunately get involved in being expert witnesses on decks that didn't pass code and didn't get installed properly. So that's the big thing is just making sure you're working with a reputable contractor. Do they have a website? How long have they been in business? Are they part of any associations? Those are some great ways to get clues. And we even put out an annual top 5 builders in the area outside of us, because we're not going to do every deck in the area, and we want to help homeowners really win and ultimately impact the community. And we know that these decks are places where they're going to change your life, and the last thing you want to do is go through the stress of getting something that got built and you wasted your money. That's just not fun. Unfortunately, it does happen in our industry. So make sure you do your research. Call us. We'll gladly walk you through that.
Sure. So there are industry standards, but it's hard to know if that contractor will really build a solid deck.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there are code requirements that we have to meet, but we definitely go above and beyond.
Okay. Well, fantastic conversation, Michael and Josh. Really informative. If you do have any questions, reach out to Custom Built. We'd love to help you transform the place you live into a home you love. I'm here with Brennan from Consumers Concrete, and today we're going to dive into what can be done this time of year with concrete. So I'll turn that question to you, Brennan. What can a homeowner do right now?
Yeah, so this time of year there's big temperature fluctuations, and those can be extremely detrimental to placing and finishing concrete. So we would highly recommend not placing concrete at this point. But what you can do is start planning that big project now. It's very, very important that you have a well thought out game plan to make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, and we say in remodeling it's really similar. Like, you have to have a good plan to have a good execution and good completion. So what does that look like for a homeowner now to plan?
Yeah, so we always recommend 2 big things: understanding the size of your project and the application. It might not seem like it, but concrete that only experiences foot traffic is a lot different than concrete that's getting used every day by trucks, trailers, and vehicles. So we would always recommend for any exterior concrete a 4,000 PSI or 6-sack limestone mix with air entraining and water reducing admixtures. But for vehicle traffic, we'd recommend a minimum thickness of 5 inches, but for foot traffic, 4 inches is more than sufficient.
Wow. So you're obviously a specialist when it comes to concrete, I can tell based on the information you've given me today. So as a homeowner is looking to partner with a contractor, can you guys help them at Consumers Concrete? Like, what does that process look like?
Yep, absolutely. So we are not a place and finish contractor, but we have a lot of contacts who are and are more than happy to help get you in contact with somebody. If you head over to consumersconcrete.com, there's a tab there that says click for more information, and we can get you in contact with the contractor. You guys can sit down and talk back and forth and make sure that your project goes perfectly according to plan.
Amazing. So if you do have questions about concrete, reach out to Consumers Concrete. I'm here with Stuart from Northville Lumber, and today we're going to talk about how lumber yards have evolved over the last 30 years. So welcome, Stuart. Excited to have you here.
Thanks, Isabel.
Yeah, so tell me, how have lumber yards changed in the past few decades?
Well, I know at Northville Lumber, 30 years ago, we were more of a local lumber yard and a local hardware store, where we would try to have everything that someone might need for a home repair or a small project around the house. Today, we're more specialized. We have the products that really matter in a home project. We have them on the ground. We have a deep expertise in how they're used, and we're able to offer those in an efficient manner to our customers.
Amazing. So you've heard the need, the big box stores caused you to adjust, and so you guys have really specialized in your products.
That is correct. We are what we would call a specialty building products dealer now.
Incredible. And then what about technology? I mean, I know we've gone from, almost no technology to everything is in the tech world now. So how have you adapted and changed with that?
Absolutely. The products that we carry, the manufacturers that make those products, generally offer us some platforms to work from that are really a technological advancement over what we had in the past, be it an estimating program, a design program, some type of graphics program. We use them all, and they do help the project in the end be more efficient.
Well, thank you, Stuart. How can someone get in contact with you if they're curious to learn more?
I would recommend they go right to our website at northvillalumber.com.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Kelsey from Paul Davis Restoration. Welcome. I'm excited to talk with you today about personal property.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's something that not a lot of people know a lot about, so it's important information.
Yeah. So tell me, like, when somebody has an unforeseen event happen, a disaster, what happens to their personal belongings?
Yeah, so first thing that's going to happen is a restoration company such as Paul Davis Restoration is going to be on site, and they will kind of categorize your belongings into two groups. First group is going to be salvageable, and the second group's unsalvageable. We want to keep as much as we can in the salvageable, and with those, we'll take them to our facility and professionally clean them, store them even at the facility for you until they're ready to be returned to your home. And for the unsalvageable items, we'll leave them to be claimed with your insurance.
Okay. So speaking of insurance, I know that's a big question when it comes to, valuables that you have. What does that typically look like for a homeowner? Are there items covered under insurance?
Yeah, it's actually a separate category in your insurance. So you have a number for the repairs for your home, and then you have a number for replacing and saving your personal belongings. So you want to get with your insurance agent and make sure that that number for your personal belongings is high enough to have it professionally cleaned and or replaced if it comes to that. You also want to make sure that your insurance agent is aware of any high value items that you have. And another thing to think about is if you don't own your home, you might want to acquire renter's insurance.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey. Super informational. If people want to reach out to you, where can they contact you?
PDRmichigan.com.
Amazing. I'm here with Luke from Acme Exteriors, and today we're going to talk about some affordable and stylish siding options you need to know about. So Luke, wood and stone are great options, but they're pretty expensive. Are there any other options out on the market right now that homeowners could use as an alternative option?
Absolutely. There's new composite siding, and there's also stone veneers that will mimic the look of the natural products we talked about, but also with the maintenance and upkeep, they provide longevity.
Okay. So can you give me an example of one of those solutions you just mentioned?
Absolutely. So this is Boral Verzetta stone. So this is a stone that is installed like a siding. So you have your nailing flange right here, but it doesn't require all the lath that goes behind it and the upkeep. So it's resistant to the elements and is pretty easy for the labor process as well.
Wow, so simpler labor and upkeep.
Yes.
That's awesome. It looks like a beautiful product too.
Yep, and it also has a lot of different styles, so you'd have different colors and different layouts of the stone.
Okay, incredible. And then you mentioned a composite wood. Tell me a little bit more about that material.
So in our region, we actually have a lot of cedar shake. Over time that will rot, the insects will get to it, it becomes weathered, so we also have a composite shake, so it's installed similar as individuals. They overlap each other, giving it a natural look. And you would also have this in different colors and shapes and just providing a lot of options.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for showing us these options. Great alternatives. If a homeowner wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect?
You can reach me at luke@acmehomeexteriors.com.
All right, thank you. I'm here with Michael Flory, founder and CEO of Custom Built, and today we're going to talk about planning for your project in spring. So Michael, when should a homeowner start planning for their spring project?
Well, if it's spring and you're planning, it's too late. You want to start probably the fall in advance or even the summer before if you have a big project with lots of components and it's going to be a large undertaking. You certainly can wait until we get calls in April and it's time and they want to get their deck in by June, and depending on how busy we are and what's going on and how complex the project is, you could start later in the season. But the design will dictate how much design work there's going to be involved in it.
Sure. And then what about value? We talk a lot about how projects add value to the homeowner's home. So what are you seeing?
Hire a great designer. A great designer, the money that you're going to spend up front is going to give you something that you never thought of in collaboration with the homeowner. And it could be it's a little bit larger, or they come up with an idea, or the colors that they chose. The value added by spending that extra money by hiring a good design build company will definitely pay for itself.
So hire a designer, and then you just mentioned a design build company. Real quick, tell me the difference between a traditional contractor and a design build company.
A design build company is going to have designers on staff that are educated with these products to be able to develop your space and make something that again, maybe you thought of parts and pieces of it, but they pull it all together. They're going to reduce your time and your commitment to the overall project.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was a lot of great information. So to summarize, if you're looking to start your outdoor living project, start in the fall time, even earlier if there's design involved. And then from there, hire a good design build company who knows your entire project. If you are interested in reaching out and learning more about the outdoor living space and creating your composite deck, reach out to us. We'd love to help. I'm here with Heather from Carpet Studio, and today we're going to talk about opportunities to add rugs to your home. So Heather, what can Carpet Studio do when it comes to rugs?
We have the ability to take any carpet that's in the store and turn it into a custom area rug, size and shape. So that gives the ability for a homeowner to coordinate a set of stairs that may be a wall-to-wall carpet, and then bring it into an area rug that helps that dining room come into the space or living room come into the space to provide that cohesiveness throughout the whole home.
That's amazing. And what are some tips that you would give a homeowner who is looking to add a rug into their home?
I'd say that we want to look at what we have going on in the entire space and use the rug to bring in paint color, furniture styles, and colors, materials. The rug can be that one piece that connects it all and makes it the home.
Amazing. And then what about sizing? I know that can be something that can be tricky for homeowners to picture, where should my rug stop and start to create a nice flow in the space? What do you typically recommend?
It can be a little daunting, so I start at about 18 inches from the wall, and then work our way in depending on the size of the furniture and the placement in the space. I do want to see a little bit of that other flooring showing because design is layers, and so we want to see our hardwood floors, and then we want to see our beautiful rug, and then our furniture on top of it.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So if somebody is looking to work with you, Heather, can they go to Carpet Studio and find you there?
They can. Carpet Studio provides design services by Wallflower Designs, and that's me, and they can contact the store and create an appointment to meet with me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much today. This was super helpful.
Thank you as well.
I hope you've been enjoying the Design and Remodeling Show, where we talk all things expert insights and practical tips to help you transform the place you live into a home you love. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for watching the Design and Remodeling Show with Custom Built. See you next week.